So after the conversation with Big Bro, I'm feeling like, okay, all right. Well, maybe, because in that moment, I didn't think that they weren't protecting me. I did feel like they could have did a little bit more, especially when he had the pum right on my face. Like, I felt like they could have did a little bit more. But I'm just like, I'm let bygones be bygones, and that be it. Because he was genuine in his apology. That was that. So after the birthday party, they were cool between me and D. There was no issues other than the fact that he kept unplugging the GPS on his truck. He kept unplugging it when he would leave the house, and I'm just like, what's the point of you getting the GPS on your truck if you are just gonna take the GPS off your truck? I'm like, yo, I wish that I could take my GPS off my truck. If it wasn't installed by the dealership, I could be able to take my GPS off my car. But because the dealership put the GPS on my car, I could not take it off. Like, if I take it off, that voided my contract on the car, and they were coming to pick up the car, and then I had to get a mechanic to take it off. It wasn't just like a plug-in like his was, and then it wasn't just something that I could turn off either. So I'm just like, yo, that ain't fair. You always got to track on me, but like, when it comes to you, if you don't want me tracking you, you could take the GPS off. So we argued a lot about the GPS tracker, like a lot about the GPS tracker. And then it turned to a point to where I felt like I was talking a lot about that GPS tracker. Because I'm just like, I'm always complaining, like, why you took it off? Like, why you keep unplugging it? So it went from, as the months progressed, it went from us talking about the GPS tracker to him not helping financially in the household. And I know y'all saying, how is he not helping financially in the household if you're in charge of all the bills and he's supposed to do this, do that? After that whole parking garage incident, I no longer had access to his bank account. I no longer had access to the bank account. Only he had access. So when it came to like paying bills, I was paying all the bills out of my check and waiting for him to send me money from his check. And then he stopped sending me money. And I'm just like, all right, let me still, get these bills taken care of. Because at the time, Kion was still in daycare. I was working. Jackson was in school. Like, he had started back school or whatever not. And I was just like, something needs to happen, because like, you're not helping me. You're not helping me. So I end up messaging him. I end up texting him one day, and I was just like, D, I need help with the bills. You said that you was gonna help, and you haven't. Because when he stopped sending his money, I would tell him like, hey, I need $1,000 for this, or I need $700 for that. And he agreed that he would give me $1,000 out of his check to help pay bills, but he was not. So in turns, it was me doing my whole stocks, because at this point I had done like learned some of the tricks of the trade with option trading. So it's like I was flipping my stock account. So I started out with 500 in my Robinhood account, and I was like slowly building on that, and he saw me slowly building on that. But because before he was arrested, yes, I was telling him about me learning stocks. I know y'all was like, dang, that's something you should have kept to yourself. But at this point, y'all should know that I don't keep nothing to myself. Like, I don't know how to hold water. So I was telling him just how well I was doing with stock trading or whatever. So he wasn't sending me no money. So I was dipping and dabbing into my stock account to help pay these bills, because our rent was $1,850. My car note was $480. His car payment was $150. Well, his truck payment was $150. We still had Pepco. We still had groceries. And like Kyan's daycare was $425.50 a week. And I'm just like, my $21 an hour at the time I was making $20 an hour. Was not cutting it. It was not cutting it for all the bills. So I was like slowly starting to drown a little bit. My account was slowly starting to deplete. Like, it was slowly depleting. And then when I finally said something to him, and I was just like, look, you hadn't sent me money since September. We are now in October. I'm like, I need help. Like, help me. So he ended up sending me like $500. And I'm just like, D, if I'm paying all the bills, why don't you have any money? Like, why don't you have money if I'm paying all the bills out of my check? That means you keep all of your check. Why don't you got no money? So he wasn't really telling me like what was going on with his money. At the time, like, I knew that he was trying to get that limit of a truck fixed. He was going back and forth. He was going back and forth to Baltimore to the mechanic, because the mechanic was taking parts off the new truck, the black truck, and putting it on his truck, the white truck. So the lemon truck, the mechanic was taking the parts off of to put on his white truck, because they found out that they could not even do anything with that black truck because the person that stole the truck had took the VIN off the truck. They took the VIN number off the truck, so they could not even identify this truck. And it was a whole process to try to get a new VIN number for that truck. So, like, it was a useless truck, which I knew from the beginning when it was parked in the driveway that it was a useless truck. But now it's even more of a useless truck, and you're putting money into this useless ass truck. Well, he was putting money into this useless truck until the mechanic told him, like, look, there ain't nothing we can do with this truck. Like, nah. So everything that we was putting on this truck, let's put it on your truck, like your real truck. And that's what they started to do. Everything off that truck was going on the real truck. So he was putting money into that. And I'm just like, if you got money to put into that truck, like, you got money to put into this household. Because I'm just like, dang, I'm paying everything. I'm doing everything. Help me, nigga. So one day, after he sent me that $500, I'm just like, you know what? I ain't gonna say nothing. I'm just let that be. And we're still in COVID. Like, we're still in 2020. It's still COVID. And I was missing my family back home. Like, I was. So I ended up asking him. I was like, hey, D, how you feel about me going to visit my people back in Georgia? Now that, like, they done lifted, because at one point Maryland had a thing to where we couldn't travel outside to, like, states like Georgia. They were considered red states. We couldn't travel there because they had high COVID cases. So we could not travel there. And if we did travel there, we had to come back and quarantine if we did. But they had lifted that. So I'm just like, oh, can I go home and visit my people? And he was like, yeah, you can go home and visit your people. I was like, thank you. So I'm like prepping to go visit my folks. I called Brittany. I was just like, hey, Brittany, I'm gonna come down there. Like, me and the kids are gonna come down there. Y'all get to meet King. Cause at this time, they hadn't met Kion. They have not seen Kion in person. So they'll get to meet Kion and King at the same time. So I'm just like, yeah. And D was just like, when you go down there, are you gonna see your mom? I was like, I don't know. Because me and my mom still hadn't talked. Like, we still have not talked. And it's been a year. Along with Raven. My mom and Raven, they were still blocked. And it was a year later. Because Kion was a year old. I was still just talking to Brittany. I was just like, I don't know. He's like, yeah, I don't want my kids around that bitch. I was like, D, that's my mama. He's like, I said what I said. I don't want my kids around her. You go down there, my kids better not be around her. And I'm just like, okay, well, we not talking right now anyway, so I was just going down there, and me and the kids would be at Brittany's house. And he was like, okay, my kids better not be around her or your other sister. I was like, who, Raven? He was like, yeah, they don't need to be around neither one of them. And I'm not playing with you. I'm like, okay, all right. So I'm gonna get a rental, and I'm gonna drive down. I was like, cause I don't want to drive my car, cause I want more space. And I'm like, and we're gonna be driving for a long time, so I'm like, I would like to have just to get the rental, so I can have more space when I drive down there. And D was just like, oh, why you need a rental? Like, you got your car? Like, why not drive your car? I was like, well, D, I feel like just having a big, like, because I want an SUV. I don't want to get another car. I want an SUV. And then I'm like, I don't want to put all those miles on my car. Can I get a rental? Like, can I just get a rental? And he was just like, yeah, I bought a rental. I was like, I can pay for it. He's like, I bought a rental. I was like, okay.